We'll do a review of Likutei Sichos in Chelek Tezvav, volume 15. This is the third Sicha for the portion of Vayeishev. It's a Rashi Sicha. It's a matter of fact, it's unusual. It's strictly a Rashi Sicha. There is not even a Yeno Shel Torah, which the Rebbe usually brings into the Sicha as well. And the Rebbe, as usual, brings down first some of the interpretations, the Mefarshim, to explain what's Rashi's problem in the first place. As Rashi explains that they came to Shechem, Rashi says it was a place ready for Puranish. Why Rashi has to explain anything and what's wrong? Just he came to Shechem, simply. And the Rebbe goes through the two possible explanations, Mefarshim, and the Rebbe shows that it is not possible to read it into Rashi, who reteaches the Pshutei Shel Mikra, the simple level. And the Rebbe, being medayik within the Rashi itself, some very interesting and brilliant diyukim, and with the problem in the pasuk, the Rebbe will explain that everything will come out. Kafter v'ferach will come out beautifully. But let's learn the Sicha step by step. Ois Aleph. In pasuk Vayeishev Loi, he says to him, this is Yisrael, Yaakov saying to Yosef. Yisrael was saying to Yosef, Leich norei et shloim achecha gomer. Go, please see how your brothers are doing, the peace of your brothers. Go check it out, gomer. And the pasuk continues, Vayishalcheu, and he sent him gomer, etc. And the pasuk finally says there, Vayeishev, he comes to Shechem. Father sends him to go check on his brothers. He sends him away, and he goes and he comes to Shechem. Stellt sich Rashi of Vayeishev. So Rashi bases himself on the words he came to Shechem on his mefarish, and he explains, what's this Shechem? Mokoim muchan leporonius chulu. It is a place which is ready, prepared for punishment. Kulu. Kedlokamon Siv Gimel. The Rebbe will continue bringing down the etc. in Siv Gimel. What exactly happened over there? We're saying it's a place which is destined for punishment. What kind of punishments we're talking about? And the Rebbe is going to deal with that later on. But first, we want to understand, why does Rashi, even before we get into the what are the punishments, why does Rashi even have to tell us that this Shechem is a place that is prepared for punishment? What is the problem with just saying he came to Shechem? It's the name of a place. So we need to understand, what is difficult in the simple meaning of the verse? Because of that difficulty, Rashi has to explain that Shechem is a mokim muchen leporonius chulu, that Shechem is a place which is prepared for punishment. Why did Rashi need to explain Bechlal? What's the problem coming to Shechem? You come to Shechem, it's the name of a place. So Mefarshim lernen, some Mefarshim explain the way they learn it is as vibal the state chain fria, since it already stated earlier. Hello, Yachech Haroyim B'Shechem. Yaakov Yisrael was saying to Yosef, your brothers are shepherding in the city of Shechem. So we know already what the brothers were. Is nit noitik as the pasuk zol nacham oloistaichen. So it's not important that the verse should need to again articulate Vayeishev Shechem. He came to Shechem. We already know they were in Shechem from the previous pasuk. As Otnor Gidav Stein Vayeishev Shama. I should have just said he came there instead of saying Vayeishev Shechem. He came to Shechem. Umevol Givus as this made Shechem. Saying coming there means he came to Shechem, because that's where the there is. Why does it have to say again the name of the place? And then was the pasuk is Vayeishev Shechem, from the fact that the pasuk emphasizes that he came to Shechem is mashma. From this it appears as der mit werd gemeint Shechem hayadua. Shechem, he came to the Shechem, the known Shechem. Amuchan Luparonius, which is ready, prepared for punishments. He came to Shechem to the punishment. That's a very difficult thing to say in Rashi, as the Rebbe will ask now several questions, 3 questions. That, first of all, we find this is the style of the Torah, that the Torah, even though we know from the previous pasuk, the Torah repeats it again. Al pipshute is aber schwer zu sagen, hados is Rashi oisen zu bewohnen. Literally, in simple meaning, it's difficult to say that this is really what Rashi is trying to caution us, that why it says again the word Shechem instead of Sham, vile. Number 1. Aleph megifin bekama bekoimus, we find in many places, at der posik chazet iber der nomen von the art, that the verse repeats again the name of a space. Und is nicht mistabek mit dem Wort Sham, and it's not satisfied by just saying there. Let's take, for example, in our portion itself. It says, Vayitneyu al beis hasoyar. He put him into the prison. Vayishom bebeis hasoyar. It says again, he was there in the beis hasoyar. And further, the pasuk says, "As kol hasidim asher bebeis hasoyar," with all the inmates, that all those people that were locked up in the beis hasoyar, in the prison. So, Goimer could have said just Vaitnei Vahishom, as kol hasurim asher shom, but the Torah says bebeis hasoyar. This haste, which means as in derech hapshat is just meaning that in the style of the pshat that we learn, the simple meaning, that's not a surprise. Was the pasuk zog ba'ofen borer, that the pasuk says it in a very clear way, and repeats again the name of the place. That's number 1. Base. Number 2, this is something, if this is the issue, we already have the word Shechem mentioned a second time, seems to be unnecessary because we know they're in Shechem. And Rashi doesn't say over there, that's before this pasuk, Vayovei Shechemo. By Rashi is koshik in al base. If by Rashi is difficult, why does it have to say Shechem instead of Shom? But there does gedarpa worden, and in the Friedrich pasuk, he should have forewarned this. He should have cautioned us. Answer this in the previous pasuk. It says, "Vayomer Yisrael halo yachechoroim b'Shechem goimer." So Yisrael says, your brothers are shepherding in Shechem. Over there too, shein dort nit lechoyre nit neitig auszuteichen as roim b'Shechem. Over there is also not important to articulate, to clarify that this is Shechem, that they're to say that they're shepherding Shechem. While a state shown freer, because it's already states earlier, his brother went to shepherd the sheep of his father Shechem. So we know they're in Shechem. And here too would have been sufficient when there's nor I will go and I'll send you to your brother. So we have the problem. Rashi doesn't say anything over here. So why all of a sudden should we say that this is Rashi's problem in Vayomer Shechem? In Gimel, number 3, Rashi gedacht meitig sein in the Dibur HaMaschil. Rashi should have quoted in the opening, in the words of his Pirush, when he quotes from the verse, Nor dem Wort Shechemo, only the word Shechemo, because that's all what Rashi is interpreting. Why is there the word Shechem over here? Nit oich vayove. Rashi should not have also brought down the word vayove Shechem, or just Shechem. That's one meforshim. What's difficult to say according to these meforshim. Base, there's another interpretation that other meforshim say it's not that the Shechema is extra. It could say vayove Shom, that the whole vayove that he came there is necessary, because what difference does it make to us that he came there? but the Rebbe says it doesn't really fit in the Pshuta Shemikra. Under base, under Mefarshim Lernen, other Mefarshim, the way they explain it, as Rashi is the Oisun to Masbir Zayin, that what Rashi intent here is to explain, Farvos says Darfum Bechlal Stein the Werter Vayovo Shechemo. Why is it at all necessary that these words of Vayovo Shechemo should be stated over here? Why does the pasuk even have to say that he came there? The mind of Kimina Vusis Gewender Vayimtzehu Ish Gomer. What difference does it make? The pasuk says that a person, the Malach, found him over there. Vayimtzehu Ish. Why is it important to know that he found him who was in Shechem? That's why. Is Rashi Mefarish? That why does he tell you where to find them? Adosis to leave them. That why does the pasuk articulate this? Because of the fact that Shechem is a mokoy buchan l'poron yishcholu. Shechem is a place which is destined, prepared for punishments. But the Rebbe doesn't accept this either. But euch der pirush is bepashtus nishmuk. Also, this interpretation simply it's not understood. Ibal der posik der zelt, since the posik relates as Ache Yosef seine given in Shechem. The Vayeishev brothers were in Shechem, that we learned before they went to Yosef's son in Shechem. Und as zu sei hat Yaakov geschickt Yosef, and that Yosef was sent to his brothers. Is special, so then it is simply, it's obvious as is derech hakosuf to der Tzelum, that it is the nature, the custom, the way, the pasuk to relate. As Yosef is gegangen dort, wo man hat ihm geschickt in Shechem. That Yosef went to the place where sent in Shechem. That doesn't need any interpretation. These words are not extra because he went there, he was sent there, he came there. No. And this is actually more important, even the Rebbe argues, to the storyline that he came to Shechem and then he couldn't find them, they had to go elsewhere, so it had to say his style. No, in the Vayeishev Psukim, Werder Zel, in the following verses, it is related. The Yosef is given Toya Basode, that Yosef was lost in the field. Und gesagt zum Ish, and he was saying to the man, as Achai Anochi Mevakesh, I am looking for my brother. Und Vayomer Ho'ish, Nosum Mizagomer, and the man's response was that they have journeyed from here. They're no longer here. No sumbizeh. So we're talking about a specific place where Yosef came and looking for his brother, and he was lost in the field because they have left from there. That's how the Ish that he found told him. Is pashut. So then it's obvious as to leave him hemshech hasipur, that in order for the flow of the story, the continuation of the story, Musfrir the Montvern in Pasuk, it needs to mention in the verse as Yosef is angekommen in Shechem, that he came there. Because otherwise, Anders, if it doesn't say that he came there, past is the Hemshech, Toya Basode, that he was lost in the field, and Anachanechimavakesh, I looking for my brother, Nosman, they felt it's all they traveled from here. It's all there was a stop, he came somewhere. And then you can say he was lost where he came, and tell the people, I'm looking for my brother because there's a place where brothers were supposed to be, and that they had journeyed from them. What was responded to by the Ish. Okay, so this is the issue that we have to understand generally. Why does Rashi Bechlal have to explain anything in the verse Vayove Shechem? Or could just say that he came to Shechem. That's the way it is. But now the Rebbe is going to actually go into the details of the Rashi, the examples that Rashi brings. Gimel, weiter is Rashi. Rashi further continues after saying Mokem Buchan Lepronius. So Rashi claimed that Shom Kilkilu HaShavatim. There is where the Shavatim have ruined. They did wrong. Shom inu as dina, of there Dinah was tortured. She was abducted and tortured over there by Shechem. And Shom Nechel Malchus based David. Also over there, the kingdom of David split instead of being one king. Shenemar Vayelech Rechavam Shechem. That's where they split the base. David, the 10 tribes split off from David. It says Vayelech Rechavam Shechem. But we need to understand over here in the Rashi, first of all, the order. Aleph, them say that as Rashi brings down Haporonius of the punishment in Pirush Rashi. The Ma'ura, the story that took place for Inu as Dino, that they tortured Dino, is given freer. That was before Vidos was Kilkilu Hashvotim. Then that which the tribes ruined by selling Yosef. So this was took place earlier. So why does Rashi? So Rashi should have placed them and say that according to the order of the times in which they happened, in a chronological order. First the story with Din, and then the story with the Shvatim. Base, furthermore, Rashi not only should do the chronological order because Rashi changes the Gemara. The Gemara, there is a chronological order. Noch mehr, der Moker von dem Pirush Rashi is in Gemara. The source of this Rashi explanation is in the Gemara. Und in Tanchuma, und dort stehen sie Tage Leuten Seder, wie sie haben getroffen. Over there, they're actually stated according to the order they happen. It says first Inu es Dino, kommt zum Ersten, that comes first. Was is Rashi Meshane haprig dem Seder? How come Rashi changes and swaps around the order? And there's another change. And in Gemara and in Tanchuma is der Loshen b'Shechem Mochru Achiv Echov es Yosef. That in Shechem the brothers sold Yosef. The language is sold. Rashi is very clearly changes the Loshen from sell. And Rashi says they ruined of the kilkil. What is their tam? What's the reason? Was Rashi's Mishane changes and schreibt, and they write Shom kilkilu hashvatim. Over there, the shvatim ruined. Why would Rashi change the lashon? This is actually going to be the key to the Rebbe's explanation, in which Rashi differs with the Gemara and Tanchuma, as we will see. But we see that Rashi uses the lashon that the shvatim were mekalkel, and the Gemara and the Medrash and the Tanchuma say they sold this. But it would seem adrabe, on the contrary, the lashon kilkul. It doesn't seem like it's such a big the punishment. That kilkul could mean is massive also fits. By nitkin harmonia, even if something not so serious. Rashi zogt frier wegen Ruven. Rashi, before, when he writes about Reuben, he says, even at the time that he was guilty, he ruined, he was made a mistake, but we still call him B'chor. So he didn't do something so terrible there. So the word kil kalkola, talk about Reuben over there, it doesn't mean such a terrible. If we're trying to say it's a place for punishment, we should talk in a more stronger language, which would bring out more the severity. Since we're talking about over here about the sale of Yosef, Bos is given an Inyan Chomer, which was something serious, a serious matter. Rashi as Shom is married was killed. How come Rashi just says over there the Shvatim were mekalka, not they sold? And number 4, there's more kilkul that Rashi doesn't say. Begefint in Nevi'im, we find in the prophets far them prior to this story that Rechavim went to Shechem. Noch an inyan from Paronius, we find another matter of punishment. was hat getroffen in Shechem, that took place in Shechem. It says, Vayelech Avimelech ben Yerubbaal Shechem of Vayaragisechov, he killed his brothers over there, and the Pasuk shaved him. So we see that there was other problems and killings that were taking place in Shechem. So how come Havos bring Rashi need Rashi Dipuranis? How come Rashi doesn't bring that punishment? What took place over there, which is in the Tanakh, in the Shoftim, which is before the story in with the which with the Brayom and with this what happened with Shlomo with the kingdom splitting up. So if I was bringing Rashi Dipuranis, how come Rashi doesn't bring that punishment? Now, maybe you're going to say that was a personal matter. It had nothing to do with all Yidden. But the Kenny Zogan, das ist der Farbe, das ist nicht given, came put on is for Cloud Israel. Can't say that because Rashi doesn't bring that, because that didn't affect, it wasn't a punishment for all Yidden. The idea of Shechem was, Rechavam was for all Yidden. That was just a personal with the family over there. Because Va'oich Inu as Dino is given the gay and Prat, but because also this idea that Shechem was a place in which they tortured Dinah was an individual. So, and that Rashi does mention that. Why not mention that? And then, on the other hand, we don't only find Shechem for punishment. Shechem is fine for good things also. So, how could we say Vayeishev Shechema that it means Puranius? Shechem was some good stuff happened there. Haley, doch on the other hand, Megifint, as in Shechem, we find that within Shechem, seine vorgekommene gute Sachen. There were good things that took place there. Rashi has already quoted earlier, as in Shechem, Kiblu, Yisrael, Shvus HaTorah. In Shechem, the Yidden received the oath of the Torah. With erzählt in Nevuim, as also as it's related in the prophets, Yeshua, in Shechem gemacht, HaKnesses bris that Yeshua made in Shechem, formed a covenant with Yidden of Kima Torah Mitzvahs, to fulfill the Torah Mitzvahs. So, it was a shvu over there. They were Kibbutz Yisrael. Dort hat Avram gehört von obersten wegen Besuras Hazera, Besuras Eretz Yisrael. When he went to Shechem over there, he heard, as we learned in the Rashi brings down in Parshas Lech Lecha, that he heard the Besuras Eretz Yisrael. That was when Avram was in Shechem. So there was some good news also in Shechem. And what is the hechlich in Shuta Shel Mikra? So what forces us to say when we read the literal meaning of the pasuk, Shechem is that it's a place that is for punishment? Sometimes there's good stuff there too. So what's going on over here? In Ois Daled, the Rebbe will explain that actually, according to Rashi, the sale of Yosef was not done in Shechem, but rather in Doisa. According to both Pirush and Rashi. Let's look inside. Rashi cannot say that in Shechem, Kilkulu, because they sold Yosef, as the Gemara says, Mochru, can only say Kilkulu. As the Rebbe will explain in Ois Hey, that the plotting and the planning took place in Shechem, that's why it's Kilkulu. But the actual Mechira, according to Rashi, that took place in Doison, which is not Shechem. And that's why Rashi says Kilkulu. Let's look inside. Those was Rashi zokt shom Kilkulu hashvotim. This that Rashi says that there the Shvotim have erred, they made a mistake, they unit mochru echavas Yosef, and not that the brothers sold Yosef. Ken then masbir zayin, we can explain as Rashi gave bazel shitose bepirush ala Torah, that Rashi goes and follows his view in his commentary on the Torah, in which Rashi translates in the pasuk that the sale technically was not really done in Shechem. If Nelcha Doisoina, let us go to Doison, which the brothers said. Tights to Rashi, and Rashi translates, what does it mean? Let's go to Doisona. Levakesh lechonichle doseis shemisucha bahem, to seek for you such tricks of the law, which we can use to kill you with those those tricks. So the Neilcha is Nichle, the Isona is Dosis, which means some excuse why to kill you. That's one shot. Lefi Pshuta, says Rashi, Shemokabu. And literally it means a place. So when you read the Rashi like this so far, it seems like in one shot it means Nichle in concept they're looking for a plot. Nichle is a plot to try to kill you. And according to the second shot, it's a place. Let's go to a place. But then Rashi adds the words, a posik does not go out from its simple meaning. So what is Rashi adding with these words? As the Rebbe explains, what Rashi wants to tell you here that even the first shot that he mentioned, that it's trying to look for a plot in order to kill Yosef, there too, it doesn't mean only that, but it means that they were but it also means a place of both. Das was Rashi is Moisif noch beide Pirushim. This that Rashi adds after both of his commentary. The Ein Mikra Yotze Medei Pshutei, a posik does not go out from its simple meaning. Was megifint nit bechlal in andere Erter. We don't find this in general in other places where it brings zwei Pirushim, where Rashi brings two commentaries, Loit Agodo and Loit Pshutei, according to the Medrash and according to the simple. He has two Pirushim, and then he adds, and the pasuk goes into Pshutei. So what Rashi means is Kavanose zu Masbir sein, what Rashi intended to explain, as euch leuchten ersten Pirush, that also according to the first interpretation, Nichle Dosis, meaning of Doisona, is a mikra yitze b'dei pshuti. Still, the pasuk does not go out of its simple meaning. When Doison is Shem, according to all interpretation, even the first one, Doison is also the name of a place. Thus, Hayes, the Meforshim, Zaina Masbi, this means, as Meforshim explain, as in Nelchot Doisona Zaina Dobe Din Yonim, that going to Doison, we have both aspects here. We have number one, Aleph Shem Mokim. This is the name of a place. As Ache Yosef Zaina Pushchem Avek, them or Doison. That the brothers of Yosef from Shechem, they went to Doison. On base, and number two, as the gain is given, Levakish Lechodich Ledos Schulu. And the reason why they went was, second interpretation, to seek, sort of plotting some reason in order to be able to kill Yosef. So now that we've established that they left Shechem and they went to Doison according to all the Pshatim, so where did they actually sell him? They were no longer in Shechem. So it turns out, as Lishitas Rashi that according to Rashi's interpretation on the Torah, Pshuta Shal Mikra, which is the simple meaning of the verse, is Mechiras Yosef Loid Beida Pirushim Nit given in Shechem, not in Doison. So the sale of Yosef, according to both interpretations, did not take place in Shechem, but it was in Doison. And therefore, can Rashi need zogen demselben Lashon being Gemara und Tarchuma? So therefore, Rashi cannot say the same language as the Gemara says in Tarchuma. B'Shechem machru echov es Yosef. That in Shechem the brothers sold Yosef. B'Shechem machru echov es Yosef. Because it didn't take place in Shechem. It took place in Doison. Now, Rashi in the Gemara realizes we're saying the Gemara says B'Shechem they sold him, but they literally left Shechem and went to Doison. So Rashi in the Gemara gives an answer. In Zayin Pirush al Shas, in Rashi's commentary on the Gemara, over there, Bavorn to Rashi the Kasha, Rashi forewarns, cautions us because of this question. Is Mefarish and explained the Doison Dixi Bikra. The pasuk says they didn't sell him in Shechem. It says they sold him in Doison. Hainu Kvar Hasamuch LeShechem. That was a village that was close to Shechem. V'nikras, and we call that village Al Shem Shechem. When the Gemara calls it that they sold him in Shechem, is really Doison, but Doison is called because it's next to Shechem on the name of Shechem. One Inami, another is Kibbutz Roshei. The Medrash that the Bechlal wasn't such a place of Shechem. So you don't him all of Lahorge. that they were judging over him, the nichli dosos, the dosos to kill him. There is mefarish, as Rashi says elsewhere, as late them medrash, that according to that medrash, doison ain't a mokum, it's not a place. So in the Gemara, in Rashi's commentary in the Gemara, so Rashi clearly holds, and also based on the other place, that doison was not a place according to the other. But but in the simple meaning of the verse is doison shem mokimu. Doison is the name of a place. When it says nit mistaber, and the first Rashi's reasoning that maybe because it's close, it's called Shechem, is nish mistaber, so it's not logical as Shechem zol zayin buchel leperonius, that Shechem will be a place which is ready for peronius mitzad di peronius zayin vorgekommen in akvar samuch l'Shechem because of the punishment that took place in a village which is close to Shechem. So the Rebbe doesn't accept Rashi's explanation in the Gemara to Rashi in the Chumash, and that's why Rashi in the Chumash says there were, according to both Prushim, was a place, but it hints to something else also. The Posik is Madgish, since the Posik emphasizes Ados is Atzveiter Ort. The Torah says it's the second place. The Torah says Nosum is they have journeyed from there, going by go to this son. Schwer zu sagen in Pshutish Mikra. So in Pshutish Mikra, it's difficult to say that this is given. Akvar HaSamuch L'Shechem, it was a village next to Shechem. If they were traveling, Husis Nikras Al Shem Shechem, which is called on the name of Shechem. Seems like it was a distant. It didn't just move to a suburb like very close, but it seems like Nelcha Nesa, they were journeying to Shechem. Is the river is Rashi Mefarish as Shom in Shechem Kilkilu HaShchot. They didn't sell him there. Over there, they ruined. They did something else not as bad as the sale of Yosef. Need the mechira, not a kalmiza from kilkul, but something lighter. It was kilkul. What was it over there? But the Baal mechiras Yosef is given nitsham. So we need to understand, since it wasn't there, not in Doisa, but in Doisa, was meant that Rashi misham kilkul ashvatim. So what did they do over there? What does Rashi mean that he says that the Shvatim were makalkal that they ruined over there? What is it? As the Rebbe will explain, that actually over there they started to plot to sell Yosef, and that's why it's kilkul, not mechiras Yosef. As the Rebbe will continue to explain. Hey, is the beer because the Rebbe explained this all matters. We're not just talking about things bad that happened in Shechem. The Rebbe pointed out there was a lot of good things, a lot of things that happened in Shechem Rashi doesn't mention. We're talking about Shechem as a follow-up to what happened with Yosef. In the Bir was in Pashtus lernt men dem Pshat in the Maimer Azal. Simply, when you learn the meaning of this saying of our sage of blessed memory, Mokoin Muchan Luperonis, it's a place that is ready for punishment. As Yosef is gekumen in an or, that Yosef came in a place was given Muchan Luperonius, which was prepared for punishment. The cloud. General, it was a place of punishment in general, not especially associated with Yosef. With the Hemshech HaMaimer, as the continuation of this saying, was from Dorten passiert. When we enumerate the punishment that took place there, we see that we're not only talking about Yosef, we're just talking about general happenings over there. Und der Riber hat euch mit ihm dort passiert, a Sach von Peronius sein Bechira. And that's why for him as well happened to Yosef something bad, a punishment of his sale took place over there. So this is a general place where bad things happen, and it happened to Yosef too. But the Rashi wants to tell us no. In order to forewarn us, as need dosi zayin kavana, that that's not his intent. Imshat v'moker buchon leperonis, in the meaning of a place ready for punishment. Is Rashi mishane the seder from Tuperonis? That's where Rashi changes the order of the punishment. Ushtel zum onheb, and in the beginning he starts off with Shom Kilkilu Hashvatim, to tell you that we're talking about a place of punishment as it relates to Yosef. First of all, we want to point out that this is the place, because that's what we're discussing here. We're talking about the place where the Shvatim have gone wrong. That's the happening of the punishment. That's the Puranius, which we're talking about in these verses as it relates to Yosef. We start off with that. What is Rashi trying to say? We're not just talking about general punishment. Because there mit macht Rashi klor. Rashi makes it clear as mit mokoy muchen leperonis meinter benegei leprat. When he says it's a place prepared for peronis, it means with this specific, with this. We're talking about Yosef. Nor b'shayches to Yosef in Zusammenhang mit seinem Mechira, only at is relates and connected to Yosef's with his sale. It's a place of peronis with his sale. Das heißt, this means als kommendig in Schem hat dort sich angeheben der Hachone zu sein Peronius. That when he came to Shechem, that's where it started the preparations to his Peronius. Because that was the place where the Shvatim were Mekalkal, and that's where his punishment begins. Und davon move on, and from this is understood as euch die andere zwei Peronius was Rashi bringt, also the other two punishment that Rashi brings down, Shominu as Dino, that they had tortured Dina there, Shom Nechel Komachos mit David Chulu, that the kingdom of David split there, Habmar Verbund with them, they are related, they're tied to the fact that Shechem is a Mokim Peronius for Yosef, and that there's a place of punishment for Yosef, will come in Siv Zayin. The Rebbe will explain later in Siv Zayin how that relates, but Rashi is trying to tell you that this is a place where by Yosef, when he came there, soon as he came there, that's where the punishment starts. That's the bad thing starts in Shechem. That's it. And the other things are also associated with Yosef, as the Rebbe will explain in Siv Zayin. And the reason is, the Rebbe explains in Oizvav, because the Torah sort of makes this an end, Soif Posuk, Vayeishev, and he came to Shechem as if to say, that is where his problems begin. Coming to Shechem is the end of the subject over here that he sent him, and now he is in Shechem, his place of the problem. The proof, this interpretation is forced out, is the kasha v'sheltzich and the verter, is the question that we have in the words the Rebbe was discussing and negated the two other perushim. But the Rebbe is going to explain now what is the question. The words by came to Shechem. For them was their posik by the posik says he says to him go, and he sent the vert, his time in the vert. It concludes with the words by Shechem. He comes to Shechem. That's the end of that posuk. And there's in the posuk noch them, and it's only the verse that follows. Begin the details of the story. Was haben dort passiert? Was dort passiert? That happened over there. Who is found one person, he was lost, and they told him where they went. Is mashma over there? It appears that Yosef kumen in Shechem. That just the fact that he came to Shechem is for sich an Indian ikri. It's a main subject. It's a main aspect in the sipur in the story of Mechiras Yosef, of the sale of Yosef. Thus heis, which means as ein kum and dort is nicht an Indian derech agav. That means that his coming there is not just a by the way matter, but it is negeya zu wissen as that is dort angekumen. It's not just that it happened there. Okay, he came to Shechem, but that's important to know that he came there. Negeya zu dort angekumen. Isn't it? Move on. So it's not understood. The brothers of Yosef were already no longer in Shechem, but in Doisim Kinalsi Gimel, but they were in Doisim, as we said before, in Siv Gimel. B'meila is Yosef coming in Shechem given over there. So it turns out that Yosef coming to Shechem was just passing by. He went to Shechem to get to Doisim. Geendig von dort weiter auf den Weg, and he continued from Shechem further on his way to seine Brüder in Deutschland, to his brothers in Deutschland. So let it be that because of the flow of the story, we need to tell for the flow of the story needs to be told, as we said before, in base. As Yosef is on Yikuman in Shechem, that he came to Shechem. Havos Ober is nötig zu oistelen, sein Onkommen ahin. But why is it important to distinguish, to separate his coming there, as if it's a matter by itself? As hot gekent stehen by ihm ish b'Shechem, instead of finishing the post of Yom Shechem, you say that a person found him in Shechem. That Goshe Vayeishev Shechem, the emphasis that he comes to Shechem is l'chayri ibrik. It seems extra. Of them zokt Rashi, so Rashi says Shechem. No, coming to Shechem, mokim the Peronius. He came to a place which is ready for Peronius. Shom kilkul hashvot over there. Yosef's onkommen in Shechem is not that der Chagav dike prat in Sipur from Mechiras Yosef. The fact that Yosef came to Shechem is not a by-the-way detail in the story of the sale of Yosef, nor Sizan Inyan Nikri Farzich. It's a subject matter, main part for itself. Das is der Ort, wo so zu angeben seine Peronius. That is the place where his troubles, his punishment started. Weil Shom Kilkilu Hashvotim. Over there is the place where it all started. The Shvotim have ruled over there. As Mechiras Yosef is given, let it be true that the sale of Yosef actually took place not in Shechem, but in Doison, over der Kilkul, the ruining from the Shvotim, is given, that already took place. This is given in Shechem, when they were in Shechem. Dorten haben sich angegeben zu trachten, over there they started to think about und zugreifen and to prepare for him the Peronius, the punishment. The vakesh lechon nichli doseshe besuchabem, to look for you, seek for you plots of the religion, the reasoning in order to kill you, to kill him, to kill Yosef. Okay, so now we understand what's Rashi's problem. And the Rashi's problem, as the Rebbe explains, is that the pasuk makes a big to-do from the Yom Shechem, not just that he came to Shechem to continue his journey, but the pasuk stops by Yom Shechem and separates it by itself to tell us that that is actually where the problems begin. So what does it got to do with the other two problems? The connection with the later two punishments, Shominu as Dino, Shomnel Kol Malchus Beis David, that they tortured Dino over there, and that the kingdom of David split. With this aspect specifically, that it's a prepared place for punishment for Yosef. So the Rebbe explains this. Rashi explained earlier as Yosef hoyamagid la'aviv. Yosef would tell his father against his brother that they were eating a limb while the animal was still alive, and they would cheapen, degrade the brothers, the sons of Yaakov, who were the son of the maidservant, the Kroisim Avodim, to refer to them as slaves, and further v'chashudim al ha'arayis, and that they were suspected on a prohibited relationship. Rashi says he got punished in all three. Al Ever min Achai, because he said they eat Ever min Achai, so they slaughtered that goat and they dipped it into his shirt, his Ktsoidus Pasim into it. Al Diba, and the fact that he spoke Lashon Hara, that was Le'eved Nimkar, he was sold as a slave, Al Arayis Vatiso, and the fact that he told that they were Chashudim Al Arayis, that the relationships, he was put in the situation where the Eishes Adonov, the Potiphar's wife, put her eyes on Yosef, as the Torah tells the story. So we see Vibald as der Einish from Yosef is verbunden mit drei Inyanim. We see that Yosef's punishment is connected with three matters: Ever min Achai, and the limit of a living, eating a limb of the animal while the animal itself is alive. And the fact that they cheapened, degraded the sons of the maidservant wives of Yaakov, the to call them avodim, and Gimel. And number three, chashud mal harayis, that they were suspecting rayis, darfne zogen. So we should say Shechem, the city of Shechem, which is given the achone v'aschola von seine poronis ve'insh, where was the preparation and the beginning of his punishment and punishments and the penalties is muchal leporonius, that is prepared for punishment to dry mine poronius, to three types of punishment, bedoimet to the dry inyonim, which is similar to the three matters in Jesus' reid gegen seine Brüder, in Jesus' words that he spoke against his brothers. The fact that the shvatim, that poronius that took place, that they were looking for ways to kill Yosef, and inyan for shvichas damim, that is an idea of pouring blood. He says, "Hachona, this is a preparation to the poronius, to the punishment." But then was it gezogt for this that he said as these are that they're not careful menachai. So that prepared them for that poronius that they were plotting to kill Yosef by Yishchatu Goimer. Mitzad them was Shom Inu as Dina, that was before that they tortured Dina, is a Samuchan, that makes it prepared to the Puranius from them was Gezokt, that the punishment, that which he said as a Zainen Chashudim al Haroyes, that they are suspect on prohibited relationship at Tiso Goimer, and then the wife of Potiphar starts up with Yosef. So that is prepared because Inu as Dina, which was a prohibited relationships over there. The kingdom of David has split over there. Malchus Beis David was weist as zilzal of chisus in Malchus Beis David, which shows a degradation and a lessening of the Malchus Beis David, and that comes through Yerovam from the tribe of Ephraim ben Yosef. So, meaning that it's taking away from David, from by Yosef. That's the punishment. Is as muchen to the Puranius for the zilzul b'nei hashvachas, the creation. But that's a preparation for the punishment that he cheapened the b'nei hashvachas to call them avodim le'eved nimkar, which was sold for a slave. So therefore, all these three things associated with Puranius that took place and going to Yosef. So therefore, automatically on their own, these questions, that we asked before Siv Gimel, as Migefinta says, that we find there were other punishments, and also good, that doesn't matter anymore. But because according to the simple meaning of the pasuk in Shechem, it's prepared for punishment only as it relates to Yosef, and all these three things correspond to the three things that Yosef is punished for. These three things, for the Shichas Damim that he accused them, and for the Avodim that he cheapened them, and also the tortured Dina, which is all these three different things which are related into these three things. As opposed to all Yidden can't say Shecham is not a Mokum Pronos. It's not a general Mokum. Because over there for all Yidden, Adrabah, there was a Krisus Bris over there for Yeshua with all Yidden on the observance of Torah mitzvahs. This is Mesichas Shabbos Parshas Vayeishev Tov Shin Lamed Zayin.